You've been chasing your whole life and you didn't even realize it. Every time you made yourself too available to someone who didn't appreciate you, every time you showed up when they ghosted you, every moment you gave your time freely to people who straight up took it for granted, you handed them your value, your energy, your power, and they walked all over it. But today that changes. I'm about to show you 7 game-changing psychological principles that will completely flip the script. Principles that will teach you how to become magnetic without trying, how to be wanted without begging, and how to become absolutely irresistible simply by mastering the art of strategic withdrawal. See, most people operate from a place of scarcity. Someone shows interest, they drop everything. Someone slides into their DMs, they respond in 0.5 seconds. Someone needs them, they're always there. They think they're being a good person by being available 24/7. They think they're showing their value by being present all the time, but they're dead wrong. The truly irresistible people, the ones everyone wants but can't quite have, they move differently. They don't chase, they don't over-explain, they don't sacrifice their peace for anyone's approval. They understand that being everywhere means you're nowhere special. They know that being always available kills attraction, and that's exactly what makes them unforgettable. Smart people have understood this for centuries. They saw that attraction isn't about being in everyone's face. It's not about proving your worth to every person who questions it. Attraction is scarcity. Attraction is selective. Attraction is strategic. And today, you're going to master it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to break down 7 principles that will completely transform how people see you. You'll learn how to make people crave your attention without begging for theirs. You'll discover why your absence is more powerful than your constant availability. You'll understand how to pull back strategically so that people chase you instead of you chasing them. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about being manipulative or fake. This is about understanding basic human psychology. This is about operating from abundance instead of desperation. This is about becoming the kind of person that others can't forget, can't replace, and honestly can't resist. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am irresistibly selective. Let's get into it. Number 1. Create scarcity through selective presence. Let's start with the foundational law of attraction, something that applies whether you're in New York City, LA, Houston, or small-town America. Your presence is only valuable when it's scarce. And just like any hot commodity, whether it's concert tickets, limited sneaker drops, or exclusive memberships, the moment you flood the market with it, it becomes worthless. Here's what nobody tells you. Every single time you make yourself constantly available, you're literally devaluing yourself. You're training people that you have nothing better to do than wait around for them. You're teaching them that your time isn't precious, that your attention is cheap, that you're always going to be there like some 24/7 convenience store. Most people never get this. They make themselves available to anyone who wants them. Someone texts, they respond instantly. Doesn't matter if they're at work, at the gym, or in the middle of dinner. Someone calls, they drop everything. Someone needs them, they rearrange their entire schedule. And what do they get in return? Disrespect, being taken for granted, being someone's backup option when their first choice falls through. The people who naturally attract others, the ones who always have people chasing them, understood something most Americans still don't get. The person who controls their availability controls the entire relationship. Because availability isn't just about time, it's about perceived value. When you're always there, you're signaling that you have nowhere else to be, nothing else going on. When you're selective, you're signaling that your time is premium and only certain people earn access to it. Think about the people you know who always have others chasing them, the ones who never seem desperate or needy, the ones who somehow have everyone wanting their attention. Now ask yourself, are they always available? Do they respond to everyone immediately? Do they drop everything for anyone? Hell no. They're selective. They're unpredictable. They create scarcity. Here's what the truly magnetic people do. They create a value system.
Not everyone gets immediate access. Not everyone gets their full attention. Not everyone gets their presence. They ask one simple question before making themselves available. Does this person actually value my time, or do they just expect it because I've always given it? And if the answer is they just expect it, they pull back. No drama, no long explanations, no guilt trips. They simply become less available. This is where most Americans mess up, and I say this because we're raised to be nice, to be helpful, to be there for everyone. They think being a good person means being available to everyone all the time. They think that setting boundaries makes them selfish or cold. They think that not responding immediately makes them rude, but it's the complete opposite. Being selective doesn't make you cold, it makes you valuable. It shows you respect yourself enough to protect your time. It proves that you're not a doormat waiting for anyone who wants to walk over you. Imagine someone who always texts you first, who always makes plans with you, who always reaches out, who's always, "Hey, what are you up to?" After a while, how do you feel? Probably a bit suffocated, maybe even annoyed. You start thinking, don't they have anything else going on? Their constant presence kills the mystery. You start taking them for granted because you know they'll always be there. Now imagine someone who sometimes reaches out, sometimes doesn't. Sometimes they're available, sometimes they're busy with their own life. Sometimes they initiate, sometimes you have to. Sometimes they respond quick, sometimes it takes a few hours. You never quite know when you'll hear from them next. What happens? You think about them way more. You value their time more. You appreciate when they do show up because you know it's not guaranteed. That's the power of scarcity in action. You become valuable by being selective. You become magnetic by being strategically unavailable. You become irresistible by making people work to keep you in their life. From this moment forward, treat your presence like a limited edition release, because it is. And limited editions don't go to everyone. They go to those who truly value them, who recognize their worth, who are willing to put in the effort. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am irresistibly selective. Number 2, master the art of strategic silence. You know why people lose their minds over someone who goes silent on them? Because silence creates a void that the human mind desperately tries to fill. It triggers curiosity, anxiety, and straight-up obsession all at once. And the person who masters silence masters attraction. Here's the truth that will change everything. Silence is more seductive than any text paragraph you could send. Think about it. When someone's constantly hitting you up, constantly texting, constantly explaining themselves, constantly checking in, what happens? You get comfortable. You get bored. There's zero mystery. Everything's predictable. You know exactly where you stand. And real talk, that kills attraction faster than anything. But when someone suddenly goes quiet, when they stop explaining, when they stop reaching out, when those good morning texts stop, everything changes. Your mind starts racing. You start wondering, wait, what happened? Did I do something wrong? Are they okay? Are they talking to someone else? Why aren't they in my DMs anymore? And suddenly that person is all you can think about. That's the power of strategic silence. While you're overthinking them, checking your phone every 5 minutes, they're out living their best life completely unbothered.
The smartest people in the dating and social game have known this forever. They understood that the less you say, the more powerful you become. They watched people absolutely destroy attraction by over-texting, over-explaining, and over-sharing. Sending those long paragraph texts at 2 a.m., triple texting, explaining every little thing. And they saw that the ones who stayed mysterious, who stayed quiet, who left things unsaid, those were the ones people couldn't stop thinking about. Silence communicates something that constant communication never can: independence. It says, I have a whole life that doesn't revolve around you. I have things that matter to me beyond this connection. I don't need constant validation or your attention to feel good about myself. And in American culture, where independence is everything, that's incredibly attractive. Let me break down exactly why strategic silence is so powerful.
When you're constantly available, constantly responding, constantly engaging, you're signaling neediness. You're showing that you're waiting for them, that your life revolves around their attention, that you're sitting there refreshing your messages. Even if you're genuinely interested in them, constant availability reads as desperation, and desperation is the ultimate attraction killer. But when you go silent strategically, when you take time before responding, when you occasionally don't respond at all, when you're clearly doing your own thing, you create uncertainty. And uncertainty is the breeding ground for attraction. They start wondering what you're doing, who you're with, what you're up to that's more important than texting them back. And that wondering keeps you on their mind 24/7. I've seen this play out countless times. People become completely obsessed with someone who went silent on them. They check their phone constantly, they reread old messages looking for clues, they analyze every past interaction trying to figure out what changed. They create entire scenarios in their head. Maybe they met someone else. Maybe I wasn't interesting enough. Maybe I should reach out first. All because of silence. That's psychological magnetism without saying a single word. Here's another thing most people don't realize. The more you text, the more you reveal. Every message, every explanation, every response is information. Information they can use to categorize you, predict you, and ultimately lose interest in you. But silence? Silence keeps them guessing. They can't figure you out. They can't predict your next move. You've become the mystery they need to solve. Now, I'm not saying you should ghost people permanently. That's just immature. There's a huge difference between strategic silence and just disappearing like a coward. Strategic silence is deliberate, it's calculated, it's temporary. You're still in their orbit, but you've become unpredictable. Sometimes you respond in 10 minutes. Sometimes you take 10 hours. Sometimes you initiate the conversation. Sometimes you let them come to you. Sometimes you're warm and engaging. Sometimes you're brief and to the point. The inconsistency is the secret sauce. It keeps them on their toes. It makes every interaction with you feel valuable because they never know when the next one will come. The rest of the time, let your silence work for you. Because here's what people will learn. When you do speak, when you do reach out, when you do give your attention, it actually means something. Your words carry weight because you don't waste them on constant small talk and meaningless chatter. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is mystery. Silence is power. And silence is the magnet that pulls people toward you while you do absolutely nothing. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence speaks louder than words. Number 3, withdraw strategically, not permanently. Here's where most people completely screw this up, and I see this all the time, especially in American dating culture. They think the goal is to disappear completely, to cut people off forever, to become some ghost that nobody can reach. That's not attraction. That's just being flaky and immature. Real magnetic power comes from strategic withdrawal. It's about being in someone's life, but not being predictable. It's about being present sometimes and distant other times. It's about making people feel the difference between having you and potentially losing you without actually losing you. Let me break down the difference. Complete withdrawal is when someone ghosts you forever. They're gone, done, no coming back, blocked on everything. What happens? You might be upset for a minute, but eventually you move on. They become irrelevant. You forget about them. That's not power. That's just running away. But strategic withdrawal, now that's different. That's when someone is still in your orbit, but they've become unpredictable. They're warm one day, cool the next. They're available sometimes, busy other times. They're engaged one moment, distant the next. You're never quite sure where you stand with them, and that uncertainty creates obsession. Think about how the most successful people in America operate. CEOs, celebrities, influential people. They don't make themselves available 24/7. They're selective about when and how they show up. They create scarcity. They make their presence valuable by making it rare. That's why when they do show up, everyone pays attention. Now, apply that to your personal life. Think about someone you were really into. Now imagine they were available 24/7. They texted you every hour. They always wanted to hang out. They never had their own plans. They literally revolved their entire schedule around you. They were always, "What are you doing?" and "When can I see you?" How long before you lost interest? Probably not long, right? Their constant presence would feel suffocating. The mystery would die. The chase would end. You'd start thinking, this person has nothing going on in their life. Now, imagine someone who's sometimes there, sometimes not. Sometimes they're excited to see you. Sometimes they have other priorities. Sometimes they text you first. Sometimes you have to reach out. Sometimes they're free on the weekend. Sometimes they've got plans that don't involve you. How do you feel? You think about them all the time. You wonder what they're doing when they're not with you. You check your phone hoping for a message. You value the time you get with them because you know it's not a given. That's strategic withdrawal at work. And it doesn't just apply to romantic relationships. It applies to friendships, work relationships, social dynamics, everything in American life. In friendships, the person who's always available for every hangout, every call, every last-minute plan becomes the reliable backup friend. But the person who's selective with their time, who sometimes says, "I've got plans" or "I'm busy with a project," they become the friend everyone wants to lock down plans with. In professional settings in America, whether you're in tech, finance, entertainment, wherever, the person who always says yes, who's always available, who never pushes back, becomes overlooked and underpaid. But the person who's selective with their commitments, who values their time, who sometimes says no, becomes respected, sought after, and usually makes way more money. Here's the key. You stay in the game, but you control the rules. You show up, but on your terms. You engage, but only when it actually serves you and respects your time. You're present, but you're not desperate for validation or approval. This creates something powerful in other people's minds: uncertainty. They can't predict you. They can't control you. They can't take you for granted. And in a culture where everyone's used to instant gratification, instant responses, instant validation, everything, that uncertainty creates massive value. When you withdraw strategically, people start chasing. They start wondering if you're losing them. They value your presence more because they realize it's not a given. Your absence becomes a wake-up call. Your boundaries become attractive. Your independence becomes magnetic. You don't need to disappear from people's lives. You just need to make them realize that keeping you in their life requires effort, respect, and genuine appreciation. Be present, but be selective. Show up, but make them earn it. Stay in their orbit, but never let them get too comfortable.
That's how you turn withdrawal into desire. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am selectively present. Number 4. The psychological power of your absence. You know what happens in someone's mind when they suddenly can't reach you, when you're no longer constantly available, when your presence becomes unpredictable. Their brain literally goes into panic mode. They start overanalyzing every single interaction. They create stories about why you pulled back. They obsess over what they might have done wrong. And while they're burning mental energy thinking about you nonstop, you're out living your life completely unbothered. That's the devastating power of your absence. It's creating magnetic attraction without you having to lift a finger. They're creating the attraction themselves, in their own mind, and you're not even participating in the process. Here's how it works from a psychological standpoint. Human beings are wired for something called loss aversion, and this has been proven in study after study. We fear losing something way more than we enjoy gaining something new. It's why people hold on to bad relationships, bad jobs, bad situations. When you're constantly present, constantly available, people don't fear losing you because they know you're always going to be there. You're a sure thing. But the moment you pull back, the moment you become less available, loss aversion kicks in hard. Suddenly, they realize they might be losing access to you, and that fear triggers obsession. Smart people have seen this play out in every relationship dynamic. They've watched how people who were always there, always available, always chasing, eventually got left behind or friend-zoned.
But the people who created distance, who made themselves scarce, who let others feel their absence, those were the people everyone wanted. Those were the people everyone was trying to lock down. Imagine you're constantly texting someone, always initiating, always available, always responsive within minutes, always the one making plans. What message are you sending? I'm always going to be here. You don't have to work for my attention. You don't have to value my time. I'll always make you a priority, even if you don't make me one. I literally have nothing better to do than wait for your texts. Now imagine you pull back. You stop initiating as much. You take longer to respond. Maybe you wait a few hours or you respond the next day. You're sometimes unavailable. You have your own life, your own plans, your own priorities that don't revolve around them. What happens to them? They panic. They start wondering what changed. They start initiating more. They try harder to get your attention. They value your time more because they realize it's no longer guaranteed. They start chasing you instead of you chasing them. The whole dynamic flips. When you create absence, you're essentially activating their fear of loss. You're making them realize that you're not a permanent fixture in their life unless they actively work to keep you there. And that realization is more powerful than any amount of constant presence, any love confession, any grand gesture. Let me break down the specific psychological effects of your absence, and this applies whether you're in LA, Miami, Chicago, or anywhere else. First, it creates curiosity. When you're always there, there's nothing to wonder about. You're predictable. But when you pull back, people start asking questions. Where are they? What are they doing? Who are they with? Why aren't they hitting me up like they used to? Did they meet someone else? That curiosity keeps them on your mind constantly. Second, it triggers anxiety. Not knowing where they stand with you creates anxiety, especially in American culture, where we're used to having immediate answers to everything. And that anxiety makes them think about you more, reach out more, try harder to secure your attention. They're essentially doing all the chasing while you do nothing. Third, it forces self-reflection. When you're no longer constantly validating someone, they start questioning themselves. Did I do something wrong? Did I take them for granted? Should I have appreciated them more? Was I too distant, too demanding? That self-reflection makes them realize your actual value. Fourth, it creates competition anxiety. When you're not constantly available, people start wondering if someone else is getting your attention. Are they talking to someone else? Did they meet someone new? Am I being replaced? Is there someone better than me in the picture? That fear of competition makes them want to lock down your attention before someone else does. The best part? All of this is happening in their mind. You're not manipulating them. You're not playing toxic games. You're simply living your life and protecting your energy. And that natural independence is triggering all these psychological responses in them automatically. You don't need to be constantly present to be valued. You don't need to be always available to be desired. You don't need to chase to be chosen. Your absence does the heavy lifting for you. While they're obsessing, wondering, and chasing, you're focusing on yourself, building your life, working on your goals, and becoming even more attractive in the process. Let them feel what life is like without constant access to you. Let them wonder, let them chase, let them realize what they had before it slips away completely. Because here's the brutal truth that most Americans don't want to admit. People don't appreciate what they have until they feel it slipping away. Now I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My absence creates desire. Number 5, identify and eliminate energy vampires. Now, we need to get brutally real here because not everyone deserves your strategic presence. There are 3 types of people you need to completely cut off from your energy. And I see these types everywhere in American culture. Each one will destroy your magnetism if you let them stay in your life. First, the constant takers. These are the people who only reach out when they need something. They drain your emotional energy, your time, your resources, your money sometimes, and they give absolutely nothing back. They're always in crisis, always need advice, always need a favor, always need you to help them move, lend them money, listen to their problems, fix their life. But the moment you need something, radio silence. They're busy. They didn't see your message. They can't help right now. Most Americans make the mistake of continuing to give to these takers because we're raised to believe it makes us a good person. We think being there for everyone is noble, is what a real friend does. But here's what smart people understand. Giving to takers doesn't make you generous. It makes you a doormat. These people don't value you as a person. They value what you can provide. They value your usefulness. And the moment you stop providing it, the moment you can't help them anymore, they'll ghost you and find someone else. So why waste your precious energy on people who see you as a resource instead of a human being? Erase them, not with anger, not with long explanations or dramatic confrontations. Just stop being available. Stop responding to their crisis texts. Stop solving their problems. Stop being their emotional support animal. Let them figure it out or find someone else. Your energy is too valuable to be drained by people who will never appreciate it. Second, the validation seekers who need you to need them. These are more subtle and more dangerous. They're the people who only feel good about themselves when you're depending on them, when you're chasing them, when you're seeking their approval and validation. They don't actually want you to be independent and magnetic. They want you to stay needy so they can feel important, superior, needed. When you start practicing strategic withdrawal, when you start becoming more independent, when you stop seeking their validation or needing their constant attention, these people will try to sabotage you. They'll accuse you of acting different or changing. They'll say you're being distant, cold, or stuck up now. They'll try to make you feel guilty for having boundaries or focusing on yourself. But here's the truth Americans need to hear. They're not upset because they genuinely care about you or miss you. They're upset because you're no longer feeding their ego. You're no longer making them feel needed or important. You're no longer giving them that power rush. Cut them off. Anyone who gets upset when you start valuing yourself more doesn't deserve access to you. Anyone who tries to guilt trip you for having boundaries is not someone who has your best interests at heart. They want you small so they can feel big. Third, the inconsistent users. These are the absolute worst because they're unpredictable and keep you in limbo. Sometimes they're amazing, attentive, interested, present, blowing up your phone. Other times, they completely disappear, only to come back weeks later when it's convenient for them like nothing happened. They keep you in their orbit just enough to prevent you from moving on, but they never fully commit to actually valuing you consistently. In American dating culture, these are the people who breadcrumb you. They send just enough attention to keep you interested, but never enough to actually commit. They're too busy to hang out, but somehow always posting on social media, having fun with other people. They want you available when they're bored or lonely, but they don't want to offer the same energy in return. Here's what most people do, and this is the biggest mistake. They accept this treatment because at least they're in my life sometimes. They make excuses. They're just really busy with work. They're going through a tough time. They're not ready for a relationship. They'll change eventually when they see how loyal I am. But spoiler alert, they never do. Erase them completely, not partially, not let's see what happens, not maybe they'll change, completely. Stop responding. Stop being available when it's convenient for them. Stop accepting breadcrumbs of attention when you deserve the whole damn meal. Because every moment you waste on someone who's inconsistent is a moment you're not available for someone who would actually value you consistently and treat you right. Here's what you do with all three categories. You go completely silent on them. Not dramatically, not publicly calling them out on social media. Quietly, strategically, permanently. Stop responding to their messages. Stop making yourself available for their convenience. Stop giving them any piece of your time, your energy, your mental space, your emotional bandwidth. Treat them like they're irrelevant, because to your growth, to your magnetism, to your power, to your future, they absolutely are. Your time is limited. You've only got 24 hours in a day. Your energy is sacred. You can't get it back once it's drained. Your presence is valuable. Not everyone deserves it. And none of it, absolutely none of it, should go to people who don't genuinely appreciate it, reciprocate it, respect it, and value it. Erase the takers, make space for the givers, and watch how quickly your entire life transforms. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I only give energy to those who deserve it. Number 6, build emotional independence. The reason people can manipulate your emotions, control your actions, and completely destroy your magnetism isn't because they're powerful or special. It's because you haven't built the foundation, and that foundation is called emotional independence. Let me be crystal clear about what emotional independence actually means, especially in American culture, where we're bombarded with messages about needing someone to complete us. It's not about being cold or heartless. It's not about not caring about anyone or being a lone wolf. It's about being so secure in yourself that you don't need external validation to feel complete. It's about being whole on your own so that relationships enhance your life instead of defining your entire existence. Most Americans are emotional dependents and don't even realize it. Someone doesn't text them back for a few hours, their entire mood shifts and they're checking their phone every 2 minutes. Someone loses interest in them, they question their entire worth as a person. Someone doesn't validate them on social media or in person, they feel empty and worthless. Their emotional state is completely controlled by other people's actions, opinions, and presence. That's not attraction, that's emotional slavery. The truly irresistible people, the ones everyone wants but can't quite have, they all have one thing in common across the board. They don't need anyone. They want people in their life, sure. They enjoy connections and relationships, but they don't need anyone to feel whole or complete or worthy. They're complete on their own. And that completeness, that self-sufficiency, is magnetic as hell. Think about it honestly. Who's more attractive? Someone who's desperate for your attention, who needs constant reassurance that you like them, who falls apart emotionally when you're not around, who makes you their entire world? Or someone who's perfectly content with or without you, who has their own life, their own goals, their own happiness that exists independently of whether you text back or not? The answer is obvious. Independence is attractive. Neediness is repulsive. This is universal, especially in American culture where independence and self-sufficiency are core values. Smart people have understood this forever. They watched people destroy potential relationships by being too emotionally dependent, by needing constant validation, by making their entire identity about the relationship or the other person, by having no life outside of whoever they were dating or chasing. And they saw that the people who maintained their own identity, their own purpose, their own hobbies, their own friend groups, their own emotional stability, those were the ones people couldn't get enough of. Here's how you build that emotional independence. First, identify your emotional weak points. What makes you feel incomplete? Is it someone's attention, someone's validation, someone's presence, someone's approval? Those are your dependencies. Those are the things making you needy instead of magnetic. Maybe you need constant communication to feel secure in a relationship. So every time someone doesn't text back within an hour, you panic, you overthink, you assume the worst, you double text or triple text. You just signaled massive dependence and insecurity. Maybe you need constant reassurance that someone likes you or finds you attractive, so you fish for compliments, you seek validation, you need them to constantly prove they care through words or actions. You just showed neediness, which kills attraction. Maybe you need their presence to feel happy or fulfilled, so when they're not around, when they're busy with their own life, you're miserable. You can't enjoy your own company. You're literally waiting for them to make you happy. You just revealed that you're incomplete on your own, which is a massive turnoff. Now, here's what you do with those dependencies. You eliminate them. Not by avoiding relationships or becoming closed off, but by becoming so fulfilled in yourself, in your own life, that external factors stop defining your emotional state. Someone doesn't text back for hours, you're busy living your own life, pursuing your own goals, hanging with your own friends, working on your own projects. You barely notice because you're not sitting there waiting for validation. Someone doesn't validate you or compliment you, you validate yourself. You know your worth doesn't depend on their opinion or anyone else's. You're secure in who you are.
Someone's not around? You genuinely enjoy your own company. You have hobbies you love, passions that fulfill you, friendships that energize you, goals that excite you, all of which fulfill you independently of any one person. This is the foundation of irresistibility. When your happiness doesn't depend on anyone, when your worth isn't defined by anyone, when your emotional state isn't controlled by anyone, you become untouchable and incredibly attractive. People will test you, especially in American dating culture. They'll pull away to see if you chase. They'll go silent to see if you panic and blow up their phone. They'll withdraw to see if you'll beg for their attention or validate them. And when you don't, when you remain completely stable, unbothered, living your life, that's when they become obsessed. Because suddenly they realize, wait, this person doesn't actually need me. They're perfectly fine without me. They have a whole life I'm not even part of. I might actually lose them if I don't step up. And that realization flips the entire dynamic. Now they're chasing. Now they're worried. Now they're trying to secure your attention before someone else who appreciates you does. The foundation of emotional independence doesn't mean you don't have feelings or don't care. It means your feelings don't control you or make you act desperate. It means you can genuinely like someone, even love someone deeply, without losing yourself in them. It means you can desire someone without becoming desperate for them or making them your entire world. Build that foundation, strengthen it every single day, and watch how magnetic you become when people realize you're the prize they might actually lose. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am complete on my own. Number 7, master the art of calculated distance. Most people think attraction is about getting closer, about being more present, about showing more interest, about proving how much you care, about always being there. But the smartest people understand something that separates the magnetic from the forgettable. Sometimes the most powerful move is stepping back. Calculated distance is the art of becoming irresistible by creating space. It's about understanding that some connections actually grow stronger when you're not constantly tending to them like a needy gardener. It's about recognizing that people value you more when they have to put in work to keep you close. It's about mastering the patience to let attraction build naturally while you focus on yourself and your own life. Let me give you some real examples that play out every day across America. Someone's taking you for granted. The old you would try harder. You'd be more available. You'd reach out more. You'd bend over backwards trying to prove your value. You'd text more, call more, make more plans. You'd essentially chase them, hoping they'd finally appreciate you and see what you have. The new you? You create distance. You pull back. You focus on yourself. You let them feel what life is like without your constant presence and availability. And what happens? They start reaching out. They start initiating. They start wondering where you went. They start realizing what they had and what they're about to lose. All because you stopped trying and started withdrawing. That's calculated distance. That's creating attraction through strategic absence. Here's another one that's super common. Someone new comes into your life and you're interested in them.
The old you would be overeager. You'd text them all the time. You'd always be available whenever they want to hang out. You'd show all your cards immediately. You'd make it completely obvious you're interested, hoping they'll reciprocate and appreciate your enthusiasm. The new you? You maintain distance even though you're interested. You're engaging, but you're also clearly busy with your own life. You're warm, but unpredictable. You respond sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. You make plans sometimes, other times you're genuinely busy. You show some interest, but you don't give them complete certainty that you've got them. And what happens? They become way more intrigued. They want to figure you out. They want to get closer to you. They start pursuing you instead of you pursuing them. That's the power of calculated distance in action. You attract without chasing. You create desire without desperation. You shift the entire dynamic without even saying a word. People become obsessed with you because you're a puzzle they can't solve. They can't figure you out because you don't follow the typical American pattern of, I like you, so I'm going to be all over you all the time. They can't predict you because you're genuinely living your own life. They can't control you because you don't give them the power to do so. Your distance becomes legendary. People start talking about you. They're different. They're not desperate like everyone else. They don't seem to need anyone. They've got their own thing going on. And that reputation makes you even more magnetic. Your independence becomes incredibly attractive. When people realize you have a full, rich life that doesn't revolve around them or any one person, when they see that you're perfectly content with or without them, they want in. They want to be part of your life. They want access to someone who doesn't need them, but chooses them. Here's the beautiful part that most Americans miss. While everyone else is burning energy on chasing, on proving themselves, on being constantly available, on trying to force connections and relationships, you're conserving yours. You're investing your energy in yourself. You're building real value through your career, your hobbies, your fitness, your skills, your friendships, your goals. You're becoming genuinely magnetic while they are distracted by validation seeking and people pleasing. This is how you ascend in attraction, not just in dating, but in all of life. Not by trying harder, not by being more available, not by chasing, but by creating space, by protecting your energy so fiercely that only the worthy, only those who genuinely appreciate you get access, by being so selective with your presence that your absence creates more impact than your constant pursuit ever could. Closing. All right, let's bring this home. In this script, you've learned the 7 principles of strategic withdrawal that will make you irresistible. 1. You create scarcity through selective presence, making your time valuable by fiercely protecting it and not giving it to just anyone. 2. You master strategic silence, letting the absence of words and constant communication create way more attraction than texting ever could. 3. You withdraw strategically, not permanently, staying in people's orbit, but becoming unpredictable, mysterious, and magnetic. 4. You harness the psychological power of your absence, letting people's fear of loss work in your favor without you lifting a finger. 5. You identify and eliminate energy vampires, the takers, the validation seekers, and the inconsistent users, protecting your sacred energy for people who actually deserve it. 6. You build emotional independence, becoming so complete on your own that you attract instead of chase, that you're chosen instead of begging. And 7. You master calculated distance, understanding that sometimes the most powerful move is stepping back and letting people come to you. These aren't just random concepts or theory. These are psychological laws that govern human attraction and relationships. And if you apply them consistently, strategically, and authentically, your entire life will transform in ways you can't even imagine right now.
People will treat you differently. They'll value your time more. They'll respect your boundaries. They'll chase you instead of you chasing them.
They'll appreciate your presence because they know it's not guaranteed. They'll respect your boundaries because they know crossing them means losing you permanently. But here's the most important thing, and I need you to really hear this. This only works if you actually commit to it. This only works if you actually change your behavior starting right now. Not tomorrow after you finish scrolling, not next week when you feel ready, not next month after this situation resolves itself. Right now, today. The next time someone takes you for granted, pull back instead of trying harder. The next time you feel the urge to chase someone's attention or validation, resist and focus on yourself instead. The next time you want to prove your worth to someone who clearly doesn't see it, withdraw and let them figure it out on their own. From this moment forward, you operate differently than 99% of people. You are selective, you are scarce, you are irresistible. This is the silent takeover, the art of becoming magnetic through strategic withdrawal, the path to becoming the person everyone pursues instead of the person who does all the pursuing. And now, this power is yours to use. So I'm going to ask you one final time, are you ready to stop chasing? Are you ready to become the person everyone pursues? Are you ready to become irresistibly selective and finally take back your power? If your answer is yes, then prove it to yourself right now. Drop "I am irresistibly selective" in the comments. Make that commitment. Speak it into existence. Claim your power. And before you go, if this script opened your eyes and shifted your perspective, hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's been chasing, someone who's been taken for granted, someone who needs to remember their worth. And subscribe to this channel because we're just getting started on this journey to personal power. You are irresistible now. Act like it.